Hey, what is going on, guys? This is SMEB Reviews, and today we're going to take a look at the new album, I guess, from Cold War Kids, titled New Age Norms 1. And the reason I say I guess is because technically it's an album. I mean, it's 8 tracks and it's 29 minutes, so I guess some people could start arguing that it's an EP, but it's an album. And like Spotify classifies it as an album. I believe the band's called it an album, but it's one. It's one part of 3 of this New Age Norms series that they're going to do. And I guess it's just 3 albums that each... I don't think that there's necessarily an overarching plot. I think it's just supposed to be a bunch of new sounds for the bands, and each album's supposed to represent a new sound, a new style, and that's what from my understanding, they haven't given a ton of information that I've found at least, but that's my understanding of it. I don't know if these will eventually be compiled into one big album, which made me hesitate to cover this. But I decided I'll just cover each one individually. I'll just do 1, 2, and 3, and if they compile them, I'm not gonna mess with that. But I did want to talk about this. So, does anyone really even listen to Cold War Kids? I mean, they have some popular songs. Love is Mystical, First, Hang Me Up to Dry. Like, they have hits, but I've never heard someone talking about Cold War Kids. I've never heard a critic talking about them. I don't know anyone that listens to them, except for one friend who kind of got me into them. So I'm just, like, does anyone know who Cold War Kids is? They're a great band at times. They've been kind of hit and miss for me. I apologize, I got my laptop next to me. They've been kind of hit and miss for me because some of their albums are okay. I admit there's some albums I haven't got a full exposure to, but like Cops and Robbers, or Cops and Robbers and Cowards, I even knew that and I just blew it. Good thing I had it next to me. Like that album, it's not good, and I feel like some people might like it, but I listened to it and it was like just not good. It was a genuinely bad album, which I did come into it after hearing stuff off of Dear Miss Lonely Hearts and Hold My Home and L.A. Divine. So I guess I did get a different sound, like idea of what their sound would be, but it just was so bad. And I've heard a couple songs off Dear Miss Lonely Hearts, and I really like them. I've heard a couple songs off Hold My Home, and I really like the ones I've heard. And then L.A. Divine, which actually would be a great album for me to do for an album diaries, because I have a lot of history with it, because it was one of the first albums that I really like reviewed. I didn't do it on this channel, but it was an album that I very, very early on that I gave detailed notes. Me and my friend, the friend I was talking about, she heard it and wanted to know what I thought about it, and so I gave very detailed notes about each song and the overall thoughts on the album. It's kind of what inspired me to start this channel, so I could always elaborate on that more and maybe do a review of it. I don't know. Regardless, it's a very hit and miss album. That's the second album I've listened to all the way through. It's very hit and miss. I mean, honestly, Love is Mystical is probably one of my favorite songs of all time. Not top 10 or anything, but Love is Mystical is just so fun. It's got that, the piano in it is what really drives it. I love piano-driven pop indie songs. They're just so much fun. I love the bounciness that usually comes with them. I've always loved piano pop, and it's what it is, and I love it so much. It's such a great song. But there's a ton of just missed opportunities, either songs that just don't really work, a ton of filler. It just was an inconsistent album, and revisiting it even, it dropped in quality even more for me. So it just doesn't, they're kind of hard for me to pin down. So now that I've almost spent 5 minutes just rambling on about the band, let's actually talk about the album. So like I said, this is supposed to be like one part of 3 where they're going to explore new sounds. One part will have one sound, 2 will have another, and 3 will have a different. where are they going to go from here? That's what I wonder, because they do this. They wanted to do this because they've had a bunch of ideas and lineup changes, and I get it. Honestly, hey, stretch your creative abilities, and even if it's not exactly in line with what the fan wants, they'll fall in line, and it'll be fine. This album, I just don't understand what they're going for, because this covers a huge spectrum. So unless they just totally step out of the indie pop alternative rock area, they're gonna start, like, I don't see where else they'll go, because we have songs like Complainer, which is like a funky, like slightly hip-hop tinged but not much kind of track, and then you have songs like Dirt in My Eyes. It's like a I don't even know how to describe it. It's also kind of funky, actually, but definitely all these aren't. Like Tricky Devil, I hear it and it sounds like a B-side to a U2 album that's just not really that good. And like some of these songs, just we go from really slow, like melancholic piano ballads to, like I said, these funky songs, and it really does have a huge spectrum of sounds, and I just wonder, where the heck are they going to go next? Like, and lyrically, most of these songs kind of cover the same thing. A lot of them seem to be dealing with the topic of being away from someone that you're in a relationship with and just how that affects you. And possibly there's a narrative going on here. I don't know. Because Fine, he's super happy, waiting for your love. Things are, like, it is a really romantic song, but things are starting to fall apart in Beyond the Pale, as it's practically like him trying to justify why he is considering cheating on her. And then Dirt in My Eyes is like the revenge that follows that, like, because he did, so now there's like revenge, and like they're being vengeful. So, I mean, possibly, but, like, I don't feel like Complainer fits, and even then, like, 4th of July, Calm Your Nerves, and Tricky Devil don't really seem to fit either. Complainer, because Complainer's talking about, like, it's like anti-fake deep kind of thing. Instead of, like, saying you want to change the world, or, like, trying to pretend that you're doing all this stuff, like, actually change yourself and do something about who you are, and then by doing that, hopefully there can be like a ripple effect. It sounds super condescending, but it kind of works. It's not my favorite track for sure. The other main notes I have is Beyond the Pale can only make me think of the comedian Jim Gaffigan. It's just what I come to. It's probably the worst song because it's like I said, it's justifying cheating. Dirt in My Eyes is incredibly catchy. I cannot stress that enough. Dirt in My Eyes is one of the catchiest things I've heard all year. May not be the best, but it is very catchy. And like I said, it's very all over the place, which is kind of representative of their career. But like I said, where are they going to go now? So the final song that I kind of want to touch on is Calm Your Nerves. Calm Your Nerves is a really good song. It's just a song like being there for someone and comforting them. But one line stood out to me more than anything else, because the lead singer Nathan sings, "Are you winding down? Are you carrying your burden like a badge of honor now? Well, I'll be there at the end of the road next time you're breaking down here alone." So as I interpret this, it's both like calming down from this stress that they were undergoing, but not only that, like, are you winding down from the initial excitement of the relationship? Because every new relationship's going to have that burst of adrenaline and everything's great and perfect, and it's the honeymoon period is what they say. But the "are you winding down," it makes me think that it's in reference to, like, are things starting to slow down? Is this now just becoming more like, commonplace? But even though it's becoming commonplace, I will still be here. And I really like that sentiment. I think it's a really moving sentiment to put in here. Maybe that's not what he meant. There's no real context to the line, so I don't know, but that's how I interpret it, and I'm like that interpretation. It makes the song way better, because it's like, it's him saying that this is a real relationship. He'll still be there even after that honeymoon period ends. So I love that. I think this song's great. Dirt in My Eyes, Calm Your Nerves, great song. Those are the two highlights. The rest are fine, but this band is practically a singles band. Like, just take certain songs. Those two weren't singles, but they're still great songs, and I do love them. But the rest are definitely forgettable at best. So ultimately, because it is okay, just a lot of it being everywhere. That's its biggest flaw, and then the one song that's justifying the cheating. It's actually an okay album. Those are the only flaws. I'm gonna give it. Um, I guess a 7 out of 10. Though I kind of dance on the line of a 7 and a 6.5. But what do you guys think? Let me know. And also, I do apologize if this just becomes one big album, or if this, or whatever this is, if I miscategorized it. Whatever, I didn't know. 3 reviews will come for each part. This is the first one. I'll see you in the second one whenever it comes. Sorry, my phone ran out of storage. It's what happens when you only have 16 gigabytes. Oops. Thanks for watching. See you guys later.